The Pines That Watched Part 4. I stood there for ages as a gentle breeze began to settle in, feeling a lot like how I felt during those sleepless nights when the shadow man tried creeping into my room. Except this time when I closed my eyes, it didn't go away. The house, the trees, the strangely snaking grass path, it was all still there and very real, and even worse. As I stared out into the word knoll that lay at the bottom of the hill, I realized that much of it stood out in startling contrast to its surroundings. The trees, my house, and even a patch of the sky behind the tree line were somehow more saturated, more fuzzy than the objects and space adjacent. I can't describe it well enough. It was like someone had painted a blurry image of that scene over my own vision along where I was looking. I bobbed my head frantically, trying to discern what exactly was the change taking place. I stepped down the hill, inching closer to the playfully teasing trees. And then my house began to wave back, shimming like a tree. The clouds in the sky above the tree line squirmed in place, their white puffs turning inward into centipedal spirals. And as I inspected closer and closer, it was with dawning horror that I recognized the shape of the thing I was looking at in my fragmented understanding of reality. The trees, the house, the ground, and even the sky were all made with that same wriggling, teasing, malignant shape the shadow man had turned into that one night ages ago. Like an infection, a growth, it had spread to its surroundings in a two-dimensional facsimile of the area I'd grown to know. Maybe it was my perception that fed it, or maybe it had been feeding on something else. Maybe we had escaped just in time. As I came within 10 feet, a gut-churning distance knowing what I know now, I tried to peek past the tree line, desperate to dispel my feverish delusions with one last feeble attempt. Beyond the spot where the visual aberration ended, was a wall of writhing parasites extending into the forest some unknown distance back. Black, vile little creatures that changed color the closer to the vantage point perspective they came. They perfectly mimicked every point of color, every leafy detail, every brick and every panel of the house, even the flat blue color of the sky and the white of the clouds many meters high. This whole location was just a giant parasitic mimic, with the two original trees as the focal point. They knew I was there, and that's why they stood waiting and watching for as long as they did. They waited for me to come back so that I could continue feeding them with attention. I left not too long after, my stomach tied into knots as I avoided the rearview mirror. Even now in the safety of my apartment, I never tend to stare for very long at any given spot for too long. No moving shadows hold my attention. No ambiguous shapes on the horizon give me intrigue. All I desire is to quell the worming sensation that occasionally erupts from my brain, lest it grow into a writhing alien that consumes my vision and dreams.